Hello and welcome to a new sub-series on critical coffee considerations with me, Francis Peck, Caffeine Tripping, where I just share my traveling experiences. This time it's a cruise around the Mediterranean and I'm on the MSC.
Ready to embark on the Fantasia.
I'm doing during this cruise, especially if I'm visiting a lot of cities, is I like to at very least see, the main religious building. Not that I'm religious myself, but in this case it was mainly duomos, cathedrals, could as well be a mosque or a synagogue. For me it doesn't matter, it's what's culturally the most important one. Of course also see the botanic garden. As I work in a botanic garden, I like to see other botanic gardens around the world, and then ideally on my way from the Duomo to the botanic garden or the other way around, find a local roastery and get some of their coffee beans, so I can actually learn about the roasting traditions in different places. So we went through, let's see, actually based on the coffees I get them out here. This was from the first stop, Palermo, where we had Ideal Cafe Stagnita, a coffee shop, a roastery operated since 1922. Imagine that. My own roastery is only 1 year old. Then the next stop was actually in Medina, Tunis, where we also visited Carthage, and that's a New Guinea coffee here. And then we've had in Barcelona, which was the next stop, I found another coffee place. We got this funky one from there. After that, another old roastery, which was Noël from 1927. Again, a very old roastery. And then finally, we had, this was Marseille, and then we still had Genua, where actually I got coffee from two places. I got it from Taze Paze, one of the first specialty coffee bars in Genua, and I found another very nice one, Cafeteria San Luca, where they also had quality coffees, more for the espresso, let's say, rather than filter coffee, as they themselves were quick to advise you on. They didn't recommend using their coffee for filter, maybe because this other shop was close by, which they definitely, Cafeteria Gourmet, they offered V60s, Aeropress, as we know in the north of Europe, a very traditional specialty coffee shop actually. This one was also an excellent coffee shop, but more on the traditional Italian side, but with good espresso coffees, not the Italian roast where you go to second crack. So both of these options have my highest recommendation. So I now already kind of shared, what's my concept. I find the Duomo, the cathedral, mosque or synagogue, if I happen to be in different types of cities with different types of religion. Actually in Tunis we saw the old main mosque, but we didn't have time to pay it a visit, unfortunately. That would have mixed it up a little bit. On this trip we basically just visited a lot of cathedrals or duomos. And then I was able to visit the botanic gardens, not everywhere like in Tunis, because my internet wasn't working, wasn't really able to look up where it was located. I should have done my preparations better, so I wasn't able to see it in Tunis, and I wasn't able to see it in Marseille, as it was too far out of the way to be able to make it back on time to the ship, and you don't want to miss your ship. This is the thing about cruises. Once you are, it's nice, you go every day almost to another place to visit. We actually just had one day that was only on sea, but then every day that you're visiting the city, you also know, well, you have to be back by 5:30, sometimes even already by 4:30. So you do feel a little bit of stress. You don't want to miss your boat and have to take another means of transport to the next port to be able to check in again. But everything went excellent. I mean, now we're actually on our way to our home port of Naples to check out and enjoy the rest of our vacation at the Amalfi coast. So that's all going perfectly according to plan. Now, of course, having visited all those cities with the same strategy, seeing Bromo, Botanic Garden, finding a local roastery, I will proceed with a very not to be taken serious ranking of those cities. Now, as far as the cathedral, the highest ranking one for me was definitely Palermo.
Cathedral of Palermo, what an incredible, beautiful structure, a mix of Byzantine, Islamic and Occidental architectural motifs. Really just a very beautiful place.
All unified in just one very beautiful building. You could maybe place Barcelona with the Sagrada Familias on the second place. We actually also visited the Cathedral of Barcelona, the actual cathedral, because the Sagrada Familia is of course not yet completed, and it's also just a very beautiful cathedral. So Barcelona on the second place for that. I would then, yes, doubting between Marseille, but like Marseille or Genua, yes, maybe Marseille on the third place for this, and then Genua on the fourth place. The last one was the cathedral in Tunis, which was a very, happy surprise. Not that I care which religion I can visit in a different place, because I just don't really, I'm not a member of any of the religions, so I just enjoy to study them culturally. But I was surprised. I didn't know that they had this Catholic minority in Tunis, and that we were able to visit a cathedral there. So it was a very unique setting, and I was happy to see it. So it's placed on the fifth place, not but again, these rankings, it's just to have a little bit of fun. Now for the Botanic Garden. Actually, I have no other choice than putting Palermo on the first place for that one, as well as it was such a discovery of seeing Coffea arabica growing there, not in greenhouses like we have in my Botanic Garden. That's the only place we're able to raise coffee plants and get fruit from them. That's also, we get fruit from our coffee plants, but there they're just growing in nature now because of climate change. That's something to keep in the back of your mind as well. It's natural in the sense that climates do change, but this climate change is man-made because of all the carbon dioxide we are pumping into the atmosphere, and also methane. So this is a happy change in the sense that they're now growing Coffea arabicas. They also have Coffea robustas growing there and giving fruit just outside, not anymore dying during the winter, which was what happened 10 or 20 years ago. Now they can just keep growing outside, and they have this experiments in seeing if they actually can economically grow coffee from within Sicily, from within Europe. So that was an amazing discovery. So of course that places Palermo on the first place there. Then the second Botanic Garden is, well, in this sense probably would have again to put Barcelona on the second place. I already saw this Botanic Garden with a very nice
collection of succulents or cacti, and we don't need to put them in the greenhouses as we do in the nice Botanic Garden. They just have the perfect conditions for them. So very enjoyable.
It's a free botanic garden, so in Palermo you have to pay, but it's worth it. It's a very big garden there. In Barcelona it's a free garden on the Montjuic. So as you make your way for the panorama, you actually pass through the botanic garden, so it's a very nice experience. It's definitely something you have to do when you're in Barcelona, so much deserved second place for Barcelona there as well. Now, I didn't see the one in Marseille or in Tunis, so I just kind of have to, well, they're not disqualified because they couldn't help that, of course. But I guess they probably would be 3 and 4, because unfortunately the one in Genua, it's such a pity, because it's like in Barcelona, it's actually located on a mountainside, actually where the Geneva University is located, but they don't get the funds they need, so you should go and visit that botanic garden to give them the support they need. Although in Genoa they also, next to the aquarium,
You also have the biosphere, where you have a collection of plants. They used to have Coffea arabica growing there, but they had trouble with the fungus killing the plant, so they're still looking for an alternative. Of course, I propose maybe it's easier to put a Coffea canephora, also known as a robusta plant, instead, because they are known to be more resistant to diseases like fungi, and of course they also grow easier at lower altitudes, like the sea level we have here in Genua.
so that's for the ordering the botanic gardens, and then we have finally ordering the coffees. I must say I was specifically enjoying the espresso which I had here in Barcelona. So Barcelona goes for me on the first place. So this is not judging the coffees that I have here and preparing them myself, which I will do in the future, of course, now that I have this collection, but just the memories of buying it, and hopefully being able to taste the coffee at that moment. And then so after Barcelona, Genoa comes in a very good second place. Also this Rwanda was really excellent quality. I actually tasted 2 coffees right here. So we have this unlabeled one, but this was from the Cafeteria San Luca, just a traditional, but not traditional Italian like in too darkly roasted. This really good quality espresso that I got from this one, with different flavors, not just the chocolate. So that was also very nice. So Genoa has a very nice coffee scene as well. I really liked the bar here, Noël, in Marseille. So we'll put this on a third place, I guess. And then for Palermo, I mean, really liked the shop. Had a very nice conversation. So I guess I'm only placing it here because I wasn't able to taste the coffee. They were just selling the coffee. It didn't look like I could just order a coffee. I did have a nice coffee in Bar Marocco, which is just next to the Duomo. Also a very nice place. Had some cannelloni, the traditional Sicilian desserts, at a very reasonable price, just next to the Duomo. An incredible event. I mean, just you enjoy the Duomo, then you enjoy a coffee and some sweets, some traditional Sicilian sweets. So it's on the 4th place here, but again, don't take this too seriously. And I guess the only reason that I'm placing the Papua New Guinea, so I haven't tasted on the last place, is because again, it's more my blame than theirs, but I wasn't that prepared when I arrived in Tunis, and so I didn't have the local currency. I didn't really know what the currency rate was because I didn't have even didn't even have internet. So I had some indication, and my taxi driver in the end gave me quite a fair rate. I mean, I gave him 40 euros and he gave me 120, and it should have been 134 officially, but I guess that's, I was already happy with this, but I didn't have that local currency at the point when I bought this, and I just, estimated and said, 5 euros should be good enough. And that's actually twice the amount, you see, because this is 8.4 in Tunisian dinars, if I'm not mistaken. So that actually, I paid twice the amount. And there was this, one of the people in the bar was just saying, do you want anything else for this money? Because of course he knew I was paying twice the amount. So I was like, maybe an espresso. But the woman selling it was like, no, he's given the money, don't give him anything more. So that's, it would have been nice enjoying that coffee there on that spot, but it didn't happen. So that's how Tunis ends up here. Although from, if I would now combine those rankings across those three things, do a kind of ranking score, I guess Barcelona ends up first. So, sorry, Palermo. Palermo was now here, but we had the Botanic Garden and the Duomo, so combining those, then I would say Barcelona, and then Genua, Marseille, and Tunis. Although culturally speaking, seeing Carthage.
Now I'm here at the ancient remains of Carthage, where you can see where the old port used to be. The city walls, which didn't allow them to defend themselves against the Romans in the end.
Really experiencing history there. It was an experience. It's also the outlier on this Mediterranean tour you're doing with the MSC cruise ships, in our case the Fantasia, because it's the one non-European country that you're visiting. So it's I loved visiting each of these cities. I made this ridiculous ranking now just as a means to share this story. Don't take it seriously. Definitely consider visiting each of these places, because they all have their charms, the culture that you can exchange, you can learn from, and they all have just it's, of course, you visit the important places when you do a cruise tour like this. I mean, there's also value in just visiting small villages, because this is kind of also then the impact, right, of doing a cruise ship. It's not that ecological. It's even not ecological if you would consider flying in the same time span from city to city. The experience is just a lot more appreciable. You are a lot more relaxed, even if you have to not miss your boat at the evening because otherwise you're stuck. And this big ship that can have 4,500 passengers is not going to wait for you because you lost some time at the Duomo or the Botanic Garden. So it's not that ecological traveling this way. They still consume heavy fuels, heavy fossil fuels, and there's experiments of changing the type of fuels, but one of the alternatives is methanol, I think, and that still gets methane in the air, which is 80 times more powerful than carbon dioxide as a greenhouse gas. So probably that one is not ideal as well. Then there's ammoniac that they can use, which doesn't have that trouble but is more explosive, so they're not too happy or too keen on trying to use that either. So they are studying how they could improve their energy consumption, or even maybe going back and using wind energy and reducing the size of these kind of ships, because then you also have the touristic impact, of course. I did my best, you see. At the very least I sought out local shops to get me some coffee and some of the botanic gardens. We contributed a little bit there, visiting the Dromos, trying to go to each of the rooftops. Again, trying to contribute a little bit to the local economies, but you have to be aware of this kind of impact that you have, and the ecological one as well. I mean, some claim that all the cruise ships together account for 5% of total carbon dioxide emissions. So that's quite a lot, just to escape reality a little bit, because that's really what you get to do here. It was 1 week of just really having a vacation, although I also did make use of the room here to do still a little bit of work for a biodiversity project, Bubbles of Biodiversity, where I'll be contributing to some work on the ancient olive groves in Athens, if everything works out. So fingers crossed for that, and then you'll learn more about that as well. So it's been a very intense week for me, and the day at sea was also, I appreciated a lot, just to, well, then you're not thinking I have to visit this or this all in this kind of 8-hour time span, but you just get to relax a little bit as well. So definitely, I would say, if you have to go on a cruise, go and enjoy it, and you will enjoy it. If you want to explore less impactful types of vacationing, that also makes sense, and that was my story. But of course, on these kind of vacations, I happily follow my wife. Not that I have another choice in this matter, but it was, not considering those more tricky aspects, it was a very pleasant vacation. So thanks for following this long episode. I tried to switch perspectives with the different cities, so you can actually feel a little bit of the traveling yourself. I hope you enjoyed the journey, the caffeine tripping we've had here, exploring different ways of enjoying your coffee, enjoying your traveling. So enjoy your traveling and coffees. Thanks for following this one, and hope to see you on a next episode.